Hello, and welcome to the Crafters Northwest channel. I'm always glad to have you here. Welcome in. If you are new here, I am Michelle, your crafting consultant. You can find all of the products that I use today linked in the description below or on my website at www.craftersnorthwest.com. I'd also appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. If you haven't done that yet and you enjoy your time with me today, click that box and subscribe. If you ring the bell, you'll get notified every time I go live or put up a video. Thank you so much, and I hope you find inspiration in today's video. Hi friends, I am coming to you today with a fun, easy solution to some of your wrapping problems. So you might need a small bag or a somewhat larger bag, and you don't have the ability or want to run to the store. Let's work on showing you how to make your own pretty easily with what you probably already have. So I do have 4 different options to show you today, and the first one is called the Bag-a-lope. So all 3 of these bags are made from one single envelope, and the bag shape and size will depend on your envelope size and how you work with it. So to start with, these red envelopes are made with an envelope that is 5 3/4 by 8 3/4, and this blue one is made with one that is 3 5/8 by 5 1/4, just to give you an idea of the size envelope and what it can make. So let's get started. Now for the handles on both of these, I just braided some baker's twine. You can use ribbon, which is what we'll do on this bag. So the 3 things that you will need your paper trimmer or a scoring stylus and a ruler. You will need some scissors to trim your ribbon, and you will need a hole punch, plus some glue, but I would think that you would assume that. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to glue our envelope closed. I'm just going to use my ATG gun to close this up. So I'm going to do it on the outside edge of the flap. I'm going to do it on the top edge of where the flap closes over, and I'm going to make sure to get any little tabs that stick out as well. Right, so those will be, the little side pieces. And we're going to close that. Now, just to give you an idea, this bag, we used a 1-inch gusset. This bag, I used a 2 1/4. The other big difference is this bag is made this way, and this bag is made and scored this way. Technically this way. Okay, so you can choose which way to do things. So let's go ahead and do the 1-inch gusset, but do it on the wide end. So we are going to bring in our scoring tool, whether that be your trimmer or a scoreboard or whatnot. It does not matter. So you're going to score on 3 sides the same. The side that you want to be open is not going to be scored. So we want an open top bag, so I'm not going to score there. I'm going to use the measurement on this side. And I'm going to score at 1 inch. I'm going to do that on all 3 of these sides. Now, depending on the thickness of your envelope, you may want to flip this over and score on the other side as well. And if you are going to put something heavy into this bag, you can either create another score where we haven't so far, so at the top, so that you can fold it over, or you can put in some cardstock. So I'm not going to score, but I do need to trim off this edge. So I'm just going to cut off just the tiniest bit. Super tiny. Gone. If you are going to do a larger bottomed bag, like this one where I did the 2 1/4, I would highly recommend on your corner pieces, which I know you can't really see here, but you do have 2 corners squares that you've created. I would recommend scoring corner to corner, so the outside corner to the scored corner. This will help things fold easier for you. Also, be careful not to score too hard, like I did here, and I've torn that. I'm going to go ahead and continue. But if you have managed to tear through your envelope, you're not going to want to use it for your bag. So I'm just scoring, giving it a good burnish. Okay, then we are going to open this. And then you are going to pinch your 2 scored edges together. And it creates a triangle. You want to make sure that it comes all the way to the point before you crease it. Okay, so if you put your fingers on the 2 scored points and just pinch, that starts that process, and then you can adjust where your fingers are to make sure that that gets all the way down to the edge before you pinch it. So this is where you can see I scored too hard. I have a hole in my bag. So when I fold my bag, my end over, I have a hole in my bag. All right, so let's go through and refold our outside edges. We're going to push in that center score. Now, if you haven't already, which we clearly haven't yet, now is the time to punch your holes. And depending on the ribbon you use will depend on the hole punch size you want. And this is probably a tool that I did not mention at the beginning, but we are going to use it. So in this case, this is the 1/8 inch punch. And you just want to try to make sure they're even. So if you lay your bag down on the table, so your triangles are laying against the table, you can burnish them with your bone folder. And then get some decently strong tape, some tear and tape, some score tape, some red line tape, whatever your preferred method is. And then just put a bit on either piece. Give it a little burnish. peel off your backers. And then set up your bag. Use a block or your score tool and give it that a good little press. And this is the bottom of your bag rather. And now you are ready for your present and some handles. Okay, so for the handles, I'm just going to grab some of this cream ribbon. It's really nice ribbon. What is this? So, woven ribbon, 1/4 inch. It's really nice. It's a little bit thick, which is great. So you just need to decide how long you want your handles. And then add a little bit extra for the knots. So in this case, I have about 13 inches. And then you are just going to feed those into the holes and tie a knot. Alright, to save a smidge of time, I'm not going to tie the knots. Obviously, you want to do that. Okay, so you would pull them through, you would tie the knots. Now, if you are adding some cardstock in there because you're going to put in a gift that's somewhat heavy and you don't want to rip your envelope, or your envelope itself is not necessarily very thick or durable, you want something that's going to be longer than your holes, and you would want to put that in before you punch your holes. So in this case, I would probably do 1 inch or so. Maybe 1.25 inches. And this bag ends up being 3 3/4. So I would probably cut it just shy of that. Obviously you would need 2 pieces, one for each side. So you cut those, glue them into your bag, then punch your holes, then run your ribbon. And just like that, we have our bag done. And I meant to do this the other way so I could compare these two, but that's okay. These are just this bag again, which is fine. Look at that. All right, next up. This one is actually super simple. So I did not open this bag. So this is a fake bow. Okay, so these are just paper bags. And this is not open, but it would sit open. But it's a fake bow. Okay, and let me show you how that works. So first off, we're going to fold our bag to be however big we need it to be. And then we are going to punch some holes. And for this, we are going to use a regular sized hole punch. I have 2 right here on my desk because one works well and one doesn't, and I can't remember which one is which. Haha, this one is the one that works well. Fantastic. Obviously, you kind of want to line those up to be about as even as you can be. Next, we are going to take our ribbon. So this is the polka dot trim. It's 3/8 of an inch in width. So we are going to Gosh, I wish I could remember how long this was. So you can add some washi tape to the end to protect the end a little bit if you wanted. Okay. So in this instance, okay, it's not open because it's easier work on camera with it being open. Obviously, put your present in first before you put the bow on, right? Okay, so I want this side to be the pretty side, but you could easily make this side be the pretty side. Up to you. Okay, so we have threaded this through, right? This is super cute, just like this. You could tie it in a knot and adjust it so it sat down here, and that is your handle. Super cute, super easy. Voila, you're done. But let's go a step further. And we're just going to assume that this is the amount that we need, and we're going to cut it, and we're going to hope that we're not wrong. All right. So this is our back side. We are going to hold one ribbon kind of across, and we are going to feed our ribbon back through to the front. Hold please. All right. Slight rephrase. We are doing that. If you want to have a loop, create the loop before you poke it through. All right, this will become tight on the back as well. And pull your loop through to be kind of what you would like for it to be. Okay, then you have two pieces kind of hanging out. You're going to repeat that process. If your ribbon is one-sided, like this one is, make sure when you are putting your loop through that you have your loop showing what you want to see already. So you want the pretty side on the outside of your loop before you press that through. Okay, so seeing as it is one-sided ribbon, it's a little bit more futzy than two-sided ribbon. Okay, now if you didn't want it to be a bow, you could just stick your ends through and skip this part. And now we are going to do just that. We are going to stick our ends through that same hole and it is going to be a little bit more difficult. Depending on your ribbon. Okay. Okay, then you have loops and bows and pretty little offsets and all those things. right? But maybe we want a little bit more color to go with this, right? Which of course you could use a different ribbon, but I have these in my stash, and so one is just a red baker's twine and one is a red and white baker's twine. And we're just going to make some loops. 4, 5, 6. We'll go with 6. Okay. So I am going to hold this in the middle here, and then I am going to take the red ribbon, or red twine rather. I'm going to leave a long tail, and then I'm just going to wrap this a whole bunch of times until there's kind of a knot in the center, right? You know how most bows have that knot in the center? And then I'm going to tie a knot on the back side. I am making sure to leave some long tails on here because we're going to need them here in a second. Okay, and then we'll cut this off. All right, so this is our bow. We do have some shorter tails here. So I wish I would have left these a little bit longer, but I can just, because it's just a loop, I can just pull them and make them longer. Much better. Okay. We are going to take these longer loops and we are just going to tie them in a knot around our original ribbon here. Nope, not a bow. We want it to be a knot. Okay, and kind of twist everything around so the knot itself is in the back and those tails hang down. And then we have extra loopy bows, which it is about the same size of our bows underneath, so I should have maybe paid attention to that a little bit more. But now we have a pop of color with our polka dot ribbon. Okay, and next up, you know what, let's go with the easiest one next, because the next one is a little bit harder. All right, this one, pretty simple so far, right? We have a handled bag and we have a tag already, and this is from last month's Paper Pumpkin, which last I looked there were some refills available still, so definitely look into that one. So it comes with this neat little hook that you can hang it with. So it's adorable like that, right? But what if we take this hook off and we grab some of this satin ribbon? So this is about 14, 15, it's about 16 inches. Okay, you want it to be about the height of your bag, maybe a little bit less. Okay, and we are going to feed this through the front of our tag. Around just one handle. Nope, I did that wrong. I did that right. Gosh. Second guess myself. All right, through the front. We are going to wrap this around. Gosh, why is this not working? Oh, because I'm trying to wrap it the wrong way with how the ribbon is laying. All right, and then we're going to feed this one through the front as well. So you want to make sure that your ribbon is laying nicely, and you don't want this to be super tight, right? You do want it to hang down a little bit. And just like that, you have elevated that gift tag with just ribbon. No fancy knots, no fancy anything, just the ribbon. And this is the very vanilla satin ribbon. It's 3/4 inch, and it's so satiny and soft, and it's like the edges of our blankies when we were kids. All right. Next, this bag is easy, but it also involves some math, so it's a little bit harder. So this is what our bag looks like. Let me open it up for you. I know I didn't open the rest of them, but I just thought that it would help make sense. So this is our bag. Easy, beautiful. Here is the back, although you can do the back as well. So pretty. And this works with any size bag, okay? Because the math I'm going to give you works for any size bag. All right, so let's show you. So I do have my pieces cut because I already know the measurements of my bag. So I've chosen a Memories and More card. It was easy, pretty, perfect. Okay, and I have my cardstock pieces cut as if I were going to do the front and back. But let me show you how to get what you need. So my bag is 6 by 12.5. Okay, so it's 6 inches across, 12.5 inches tall. Like paper bags, it has this pinking shears edge top, and it has a little cutout. So the first thing I want to do is I want to cut that off so it is a straight edge. Just grab my paper trimmer. It does not have to be perfect in any fashion. I mean, you want it straight, but it doesn't have to be, it's not going to be any measurement at this point. Okay, next up, what you're going to do is you're going to fold towards the flat side, right? So we want this to be on the back side. And you are going to fold this so your flap is about 1/4 of your bag size, right? So if I did this, then about here is half. And then if I just fold my bag like this, that is about 1/4. Okay, and that is the basis of your bag. Now here's where your measuring comes into play. So you are going to obviously need a ruler that is long enough to measure your bag, and you're going to measure it from the fold all the way to the top of the fold to the bottom. Okay, so here mine is like 9 and an 1/8. And then we need to measure this. This is 2 3/4. Okay, so now we know how long those pieces need to be. Let's write them down so we don't forget. 9 1/8 and 2, I already forgot, and 3/4. Okay. So the other measurement you need is you need to figure out 2/3 of the width. And it doesn't have to be exact. You can kind of just eyeball it and say, you know what, this looks good. Or this, you know, whatever. But basically you want it to be 2/3. So in my case, I came in 1 inch from either side. Right? So I know it's 6. So 1 inch from either side makes it 4. So I have 2 pieces, that are 4 by 12. Of this beautiful paper. So I can do the front and the back. Because I do not believe, let's double check, but I do not believe that this will carry all the way over to the edge of the front. What if I just unfold it? You know what? It does. Awesome. Okay, so we're not going to cut that one. We are going to cut this one to be, we're going to go ahead and do 9 inches, because if it doesn't go all the way up to the fold, that's okay. All right, so since we know that 9 plus 3 is 12, we're just going to cut off 3 inches. Okay, so let's go ahead and glue these on. So we're just going to center them. I'm going to use my ATG again, just to be faster, and I apologize for the squeak. Okay, so we are just going to center this as, nope, flip over to the correct side here. That was the correct side, my bad. We need to fold back our piece. So now our bottom is chicken-footed. All right, let's try this again. Center. So it does go a little bit beyond, so we can either trim that off or just leave it be. And just to help, because our paper bag is not super strong, I'm going to use my ruler along our fold line so that we can crease our paper. Okay, And then on the front, because of how our paper is, I'm going to put the part that doesn't have the gold up tucked underneath so that it is prettier where it's seen. That is pretty decently lined up. Okay, so we have the basis of our bag figured out. Okay, next up, we need to determine where we are going to put our card. And for me, I'm going to not quite center it in this space. I'm going to have it lower just a little bit. Okay, so this is going to be right about an inch. No, in this case, about 3/4 of an inch. So we are going to we're going to cut strips of our contrasting paper or cardstock, either way. So this is that same paper pack. This is just the back side. It has no gold on it. Okay, so I've cut 2 pieces to 1 inch by 12. One piece will be for the back. Unfortunately, we cannot do that same trick that we just did, and I'll show you why. But we need to cut one of these to be the length of our bag, which we can just glue that down and then trim it. And then the other one we need to cut off. We need to cut off some. So we're going to cut off 1 inch, right? Because we've already decided that that's what we need for the bottom. I know, it doesn't make any sense just yet, but it will. And then our other piece, you can measure or you can eyeball. So we're going to go from the very top, not quite down to our shorter piece. So we're going to come about here. Right, so I'm just going to put a pencil mark and trim that. So there's not an exact measurement for that one, and that's okay. Okay, so we have a scrap piece. Now we do need another piece for the back. And we want it to go all the way up to the top, so I'm just holding that there. I'm going to grab my pencil and make a mark, and then cut that. Find my mark. And then we have a scrap. All right, that is all the paper trimmer we need for today. So let's attach this one on the back first. We are going to also glue this in the center. And then we are going to glue our strip here, but we are going to only attach it to our flap. Okay, so I am going to use some tear and tape. And I could use just one strip, but I'm going to use two just to be safe, because this part is going to be moving, and so I want to make sure that it is attached well. And ideally everything lines up, which it does perfectly. All right, next up is our ribbon, and this is the pink and white trim. It's 1/4 inch. You get a spool of white and a spool of pink. All right, so we want our ribbon to go all the way around. You want to make sure to leave enough space for the bottom as well. So let's open this. Okay, so we want it to go just past the end, all the way around. And just barely past. So if you want to measure your ribbon before you put all your paper on, if you take your bag and you put your ribbon, tuck it into the fold so it goes all the way down to the fold, and then wrap it around and around and back again. So you want to have just that small space, right? So if we had folded it at 1/4 already, you want it to just slightly overlap. So that's how you can pre-measure your ribbon. All right, and then this tear and tape, we need to put enough tear and tape on here so that it goes this length. You could just do the whole ribbon, make it super easy on yourself, so to speak, or you could just do parts. So I want enough so that this flips around to the back side and goes from here to here. Okay, and then at the other end I want enough so that it covers like this. Okay, so it just goes just past. So I'm going to do just over 1 inch on that side, and then I'm eyeballing about this much on this side. You want to try to stay on top of the ribbon so that you don't have any sticky bits showing, grabbing anything that you don't want it to. And if it does show, I will show you how to fix that. Okay, so I do have, I know you probably can't tell, I do have a little bit of the tape just past the edge of the ribbon. So what I'm going to do is, when I peel this, I am going to just take my finger and I'm just going to roll that tape onto itself so that it is sticking to sticky. I'm going to center this and wrap that around the back just a smidge. And then if you lay everything flat, it makes it easier. And if your tape goes around to the back, that's okay too. You just want to make sure you don't pull up and attach. You want everything to be flat. And if the tape does go around to the back, even better, because then you have a good starting spot. My tape is on the wrong side. Okay, so what I'm doing, because I did not realize, my tape is on the wrong side of the ribbon. So I'm just going to roll that off with my fingers. It actually is rolling off really nicely. Much nicer than I expected, actually. So if you were like me and you messed up, that's quite all right. All right, let's try that again though. Why do I have more ribbon? Because I'd already cut. That's why. That was silly of me. Again, keep everything straight, not bowed in. So because we don't have tape on the entire ribbon, we have parts that aren't glued down, so they're going to flop out if you fold your bag down. That's perfectly all right. Okay, it will still work how it's supposed to. And so now we are just going to attach this like this. We're going to put glue on just the sides. We are going to use the tearing tape again because this is going to be part of a moving part. And so we want it to have some good adhesion. And we're just going to make sure that we are down far enough that we cover up our piece that does not move, and that we are centered and straight. And then just like that, you have a bag closure that, of course, because this is video, it is not closing right. I think because that ribbon is slightly too long. I think that ribbon was keeping the closure from getting down as far as it needed to be. And voila! Now you have an easy open and close bag. You didn't have to tie a bow. And it's still super pretty. Our back is pretty as well. Voila. So that is the conclusion of our bag tutorials. Hopefully you found this helpful, and I can't wait to see the bags you guys come up with. Hopefully this saves you some stress when you are wrapping this holiday season, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.